Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming out here. I have started just about a minute early because this is the first time I am streaming to try to do something live. I'm hoping that you can see the Instagram page of the District Attorney Ray Tierney. If someone could just give me a thumbs up or as it says, yes, you can see it. I am learning how to share the screen and try to do all this stuff. I have the notification set. So in that notification, that little heart on the side there, shows up, I'm going to click on it and hopefully we'll be able to view it exactly while the presser is going on. So, all right. So thanks, Sarah. So it's, you guys can see that. Now, when the presser starts, my screen's probably going to go black because I have to switch to the tab to make sure that the video is doing. So don't panic on me. So listen, I'm hearing lots of good rumors about what's going to transpire here. I'm also working on a new laptop. So everything, of course, I figured I would just ease into all this new technology and try to get this in there. But as everything else goes on, this thing is taken off and has its own legs. I have a couple of guests lined up for you this morning also to help join in after the presser or during the presser. We'll see how the streaming goes. And I want to thank you guys for coming out because I know there's lots of great options for you guys to go and watch this with other great channels like Gazella and STS. I mean, there's just so many great channels out there, so it's great that you guys spend some time with me. So we're going to break all this stuff down. The presser is going to be interesting, I think. I'm hearing some names and some stuff going on there. I can't say anything about it just yet until it actually becomes official because this is a serious case here today. So just in case you're just joining this or you don't really know too much about the Long Island serial killer, I'm just going to tell you exactly what we've heard so far. So far, today's court appearance is early. It was supposed to be on February 6th. And as February 6th, Rex was supposed to have his court date at Riverhead. Now, all of a sudden, he's coming in today. He is already in the courtroom. They said they were going to have the hearing at 9:30. So I'm assuming it's already done. The district attorney said that he was going to have his presser at 10 o'clock, which just now turned 10:01. So things are running probably a little bit late. The issue that comes down to is this is supposed to be about adding the fourth case of Maureen Brainard-Barnes to Rex's docket, rounding out the Gilgo 4. So Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, and Melissa Bartholomew. Those were known as the Gilgo 4. And this stems back from something else. And one of the things I was doing my research on this, I found this interesting. I don't know if it's coincidental or it's just one of those things. I don't believe in coincidences, but on January 16th, 2020, then Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart held up the belt. So that presser was on the same day that we're having today. And that was supposed to be for how Maureen Brainard-Barnes was tied up with this belt. So, yeah, I don't believe in those kind of coincidences. So I'm looking at it as they chose today, January 16th, because that's the day they announced the belt with then former Commissioner Geraldine Hart. And now Maureen Brainard-Barnes' case is going to be added to the docket. Just something, a little tidbit there that I learned when I was doing my research about dates and stuff like that. You have to remember that these women were found in 2010 and 2011, mostly in 2011. The first one was Melissa Bartholomew. She was found in 2010, and the other girls were found on April 4th, 2011. So this case has been going on now for almost 13 years, and maybe we could start seeing some justice for these women, and they can move on in the case. Now I'm hearing about some interesting people that have showed up in the courtroom. We probably know that Asa is going to be there with her Peacock team, but I'm hearing some other individuals have shown up, and it's just something that is interesting in that respect. So, like I said, I have some people lined up, but we're going to just wait to see this presser, and then we're going to have them jump in. And of course, everyone's pretty busy and doing things, so I don't know exactly how many people are going to be able to show up, where and when that they'll be able to do it. So thanks for sharing the time. I'm just going to, I hope that this presser, anybody hearing anything about the presser? I'm just going to check my phone and see what's going on. Anybody else have Instagram? You can take a look. I'm going to try to do all these things at once. Yeah, hopefully everything goes well with the stream. You know how these stream things work. They work good and then they work bad. So it's like everything else. So far, I still see nothing on the notifications. Nothing on News 12 yet, too. Thanks, Scott. Would love to see Asa Shack. All right, Marianne. Nothing yet. All right, thanks, Raul. So yeah, they might be running a little bit over. These things tend to do that. So I just got a message from somebody that says that the delayed stream. Okay, so far everything seems to be working good. So you're just gonna have to listen to me talk at you for a little while longer. So hey Peter, how are you? Thanks for coming out, guys. So the stream has been delayed right now. I guess they're still in court, hearing, having this hearing and seeing what's going on. What I'm interested in is the DNA technology. If you remember, the district attorney said way back when we were talking about Maureen Brainard-Barnes' case, that it was remember, this was the oldest case. I think she disappeared in 2007, I think it was, or 2006, and it was the oldest of the Gilgo 4 cases. And that's the reason why that the DNA was so degraded, because it was out in the natural habitat there for longer than anybody else. I think it was almost a year longer than the rest of the girls. So they had applied their DNA technology to another lab. So I'm interested in today in finding out what that lab, who that lab was, or what that lab was, what the technology that they used, because all these things, New York State is a fry state, and a fry state has to deal with way back when with the polygraph, and it's about a consensus of scientific opinions to be able to allow these experts to come into court and do these things. So that's going to be an interesting little tidbit or sidebar in this whole thing. So it's just it's going to be interesting. So there's a lot of moving parts here. We want to know about the DNA technology that was used. We want to know how badly the DNA sample was degraded. What exactly were those DNA exemplars? I believe that they said that there was a hair that was found that turned out to be Ace's, and the belts. All of those things, hopefully, we're going to get answers on, and that's something that we're going to be watching and listening to very carefully. Uh, I'm just hoping that when this thing goes live, that the volume is good and that the stream is good, because we've seen this in the past where you really can't do much in regards to the sound quality. So I'm hoping against hope that this thing is of high quality. It's happening. It happens inside the Riverhead court. So the court that Rex is going to be in is on the second floor, and I believe that the district attorney's office is on the fifth floor. So it's all in the same building. So as soon as this is done, they just take the elevators up, and they'll probably have everything all ready to go. And I'm sure that with all of the news media there, that's what sucks out all the Wi-Fi, and that's why sometimes you get problems with the stream itself. So that's the only thing that can be. Yes, so stork delivery. Yes, makes a comment here that they flooded out many times with the hurricanes over here. Yeah, Hurricane Sandy washed out that entire Gilgo Beach section. And hey, Pokemon, thank you. 2-month members. So yes, so we're going to have. There's different degrees. So what classification of murder? So remember, for those of you that follow the channel, I give you these quizzes. The definition of murder and homicide mean totally two different things. All right. Every murder is a homicide, but not every homicide is a murder. And that's basically the gist of it. Now, murder first degree is on the books for New York State. Murder first degree comes with the death penalty. I don't think we see a murder first degree charge on this. However, if you read the penal law, it specifically states, the New York State penal law specifically states that if you kill a number of people, that enables you to be eligible for the death penalty, which would be murder one. So that's an interesting part. And we know that the constitutionality has been questioned in regards to New York State's penal law. But if the feds ever take over, that doesn't apply to them. That's a state rule, and the feds can still override that. That's another little interesting tidbit. So murder second degree is probably more where they come into this and it's intentionally taking the life of another person, and that's that's simplifying it. I'm not going to start quoting the entire penal law, but that's just the difference, because someone had asked me in the chat here, what's the difference between murder one and murder two? That's the difference. Can you make an argument for the first degree? Yeah, you can. So it's going to be entirely up to the district attorney where he wants to go with this, and that's something that he will decide as he's doing this. Because remember, the district attorney is Ray Tierney himself is the one that's going to be prosecuting this. So that's excellent. Missing stolen animals, Ireland group watching this all the way from Ireland. Yeah, this case has international draw, I guess you want to say it. So Candace is saying it's been announced what he has been charged with. Okay, great. Did they give the specific charge yet? Because there's no courtrooms and there's no cameras allowed in the courtroom, so we're just running blind here in regards to that. That's New York state law, so it's not going to turn into a circus. I mean, if you guys saw the short I put out last night about just the number of court cases going on today between Adam Montgomery, that's the New Hampshire case where the guy is responsible for maybe killing his 5-year-old daughter. You have this case, of course. You have Ferreter. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So it's like everybody's going to be jumping around and running from one thing to another, and it's going to be a wild day for the true crime community for sure. And let's see. So far, nothing. Not seeing any updates yet or anything like that. My volume is on. Notifications are on. So we're waiting to see what happens with Mr. Tierney's Instagram page. And hopefully everything will come out exactly as planned. But we shall see. And so that's where it's going at now. So always on the discussion, second-degree murder has been. Someone just sent me a text. Okay, so it's coming through now. So here it is. Confirmed second-degree murder. Asa is in the courtroom. So I'm sure Maureen Brainard-Barnes' family members are in the courtroom also. And so it seems to be moving along. We'll see what's happening. Good morning, everybody. Asa with Victoria. There's Raul. Put that Asa Victoria. The daughter Victoria. Thank you, G Hunt. So Rex's family is represented in the courtroom. Let's see. Sue, why is second degree? Because the first degree carries the death penalty. And the death penalty has been declared unconstitutional in New York, and it's a whole big rigmarole that you'd have to go through. And I don't think the district attorney needs to go through that at this moment. Let's just put it this way. He's going to have, the way it looks right now, he's going to be charged with 4 second-degree murder cases, which is, he's never going to see the light of day. And when you think about it, he really hasn't made any, said anything in his own defense. Even when, that guy, Keith Jasperson was talking to him, he never turned around and said, listen, writing back to him, hey, I didn't do any of this stuff. I'm being framed or what have you. He said nothing. But I think the forensic evidence in this case is going to be overwhelming, including that. Think about the technology and the evidence there, right? Cell phone records, internet records. I mean, the internet records alone, all those searches, the cell phone records, the burner phones, all of those things. I mean, this has got to be a treasure trove of information going on for the prosecution. I think Rex is in some serious trouble, and I think his defense attorneys are going to have a very difficult time combating the mountains of evidence in this case. I mean, think about it all. You have his cell phone records. You get the cell phone pings from way back when he was calling Melissa Bartholomew's sister. You had the description of the vehicle that was in the case file, which is always, cold case number one tip, that all the information that you generally have when you're looking at the things is already in the case file. It's up to you to be able to find it as the investigator. So I just got a text. Court has just finished. They're transitioning to the press conference. Okay, folks. So hopefully this press conference thing kicks off without a hitch. I am waiting. We're doing everything I can do right now with the Instagram. So Instagram was another interesting choice to use, right? I mean, he doesn't have many followers on here. He's got less than 2,000 followers. And I don't know. I mean, I think there could have been much better options to do this, but let's see. The bail document is already out and given to the press. And if I get a copy of that, I will try to share it. So I got a lot of people trying to help me out here. We got text messages flowing. So sorry, I'm not totally devoted my my attention towards you as we are trying to do this. As I got text messages coming at me, I got Instagram messages coming at me. So it's pretty interesting to see what's happening here. Like I said, go Instagram. Do you guys find that odd that Instagram was the choice to be able to do the presser here? I think it's it's so saying the new unsealed indictment charge. Let's see. So here we got here saying that the new unsealed indictment charging Heuremann with the killing of Maureen Brainard-Barnes makes clear Ellerup and her children were not involved with any of the killings. And I'm assuming, Candace, this is something that you got right from the courtroom or something like that, because I haven't really heard anything like that. So Pete Pranzo's in the room. Agree, Joe. And when and if this case makes it to a jury trial, it's a long way off. Yeah, I mean, you think about this. This is four murder cases, and I think we haven't heard even about the search warrants yet, right? The search warrant returns in New York State. You get the search warrant return, where the police, when they get the search warrant, they have 10 days to execute it and get it back to the court that they gave it. And including in that is something called the search warrant return, which lists all of the things that they've taken out of the house. And remember, it's just not the house, but the storage facility where they call the ME on. I know myself and others are still kind of hung up on that, but what would be the reason to call the medical examiner to do it, to come? I don't know. And it's just something. Yeah, Andrea said maybe they want to boost their followers. I agree, Andrea. It's weird that the district attorney of probably the biggest case in New York history for sure doesn't even have 2,000 followers yet. I think that'll change, I guess, after today. But my only concern is that if I have to click on something on the Instagram page in order to get this thing going, that's my only concern. I'm getting. I've had unfortunately a number of TV people ask me to, and I've tried to explain that I'll try to fit them in there when I do things. I will be on Law and Crime Network. I promised Anjanette Levy, so I'll be on Law and Crime Network later on today. But as other people are reaching and contacting me on this, I mean, this is one of the things, if you remember, for those of you that have been with me from the beginning when I started this in August, I said, I've done hundreds and hundreds of TV shows, and now I want to do something for myself. So this is the reason why I am doing this now, because this is something where I used to do for the news agencies, and then, you kind of get like, okay, thanks, here's a cup of coffee and a ride home, see you later. But now I find I can do it on my own time, my own terms. I don't have to travel into Manhattan if I don't want to, and all those other things that go along with it. And it's just something that it's actually kind of made me happier to do it this way. I mean, if you look at, you guys probably know Surviving the Survivor podcast very well. I mean, he's actually building a news agency out there. It's amazing. So Joel and his mom, Carmela, is going to be on my show at the end of this month. So it's just something that is exciting. So I have all of January has been booked with guests. All of February has now been booked with guests, and I've already started booking guests into March. So this is where we're headed with this, folks. And we have some unbelievable guests, and there's a couple of little surprises in there too along the way. I'm not going to announce them just yet. We'll keep you busy on that. And yeah, so yeah, Joel and Carm will be here live with us on at the end of the month. They're going to be on a Sunday, I think the last Sunday of the month. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking excited. I met them both at CrimeCon in Florida, and they're really nice people. Oh, hey, Mike.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, how are you? So hey, everybody. Mike Alcazar, retired NYPD detective, has joined us. Well, hopefully we can hear this presser. So far, it's been delayed, and it's just something. So how you been?
I'm good. How was the storm by you?
Not too bad. I think we got about 4 inches probably, but like
Yeah.
everything else, worry about the people driving and hitting telephone poles and all over the place because some people just can't stay home.
So you're going to be able to bring up the presser on this?
I'm hoping. I mean, can you see the screen sharing now with the Instagram page?
I can.
Okay, so that's what I'm waiting for. I got the notification set, and we'll see exactly what transpires. Everyone's in there saying, "Hey, Mike." So yeah, if Mike has been on the show a couple of times. If you don't know Mike, he's retired NYPD detective. Mike and I worked together a long time ago, and he is somebody that I trust to bring into. And you guys seem to like him a lot. That helps out.
Hi, guys. How are you? Good to see you guys again.
And I think he's older than me too, so it's good to have somebody else older than me on the screen. So yeah, this is going to be interesting, Mike. We were just talking about. So they definitely charged him with murder second degree for Maureen Brainard-Barnes' case,
Hmm.
and we are just waiting to see if and when this presser kicks off. I'm kind of surprised that they chose Instagram. I would have think they would have went with YouTube or something on this.
Maybe he's
What do you
trying to
think?
grow his followers.
Yeah, you're not the first one to say that. He's only got 2,000 followers, which is weird, right? I mean, I don't know if I think I get other text messages coming in. I think you're going to be busy, Mike, today because I got a bunch of TV stuff that I'm going to send your way because I just don't want to be bothered. I got so many things going on.
Okay, thanks.
So hey, Lisa Rabakoff, this is going to be the PC from the DA. I wonder what the defense will do with this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The information in the press conference. How they determined to charge him with this. What kind of, if any, new evidence?
Yeah, well, actually, Lisa just sent me a text. She says she has the bail document and the breakout of the victims pertaining to DNA results. So I was talking about this earlier in regards to, if you recall, when this case first started breaking, district attorney had said that the DNA in this case was more degraded than the others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it took a little time. So I was interested in what lab they sent it to and what those testings were done, because you know as well as I do, Mike, getting this stuff into court is going to be difficult because it's a Fry state and everybody's got to agree with it and everything else.
Sure.
So it's going to be interesting. I mean, when you think about even when we had I forgot the jogger's name in Queens, and they did the familial DNA. Remember the fight that was?
Yeah. You're talking about Noraccoways, right?
Yeah, Howard Beach. Yeah, the
Howard Beach.
jogger.
Yeah.
Remember?
I
And
can't remember her name, unfortunately.
Katrina
Yes.
Vetrano, Karina Vetrano.
Yes.
And if you remember, that was a big fight getting. Yes, Scott, thank you, Karina Vetrano. Getting the DNA from the familiar to be in there, remember, and that's what kind of caused the whole thing to get paused too afterwards. And then
Mm-hmm.
they finally brought it back in, and I'm going to say that they brought it back in when when this case first broke, because they're finally starting to see, I think, up in Albany, the value of this DNA evidence, and especially some of these cold cases. I mean, geez.
Yeah, it's good information.
So,
come on, Ray Tierney.
yeah, Ray's killing us here today. Maybe, like I said, the technology is. Has anyone seen it and show up, pop up anywhere else? I'm looking for the notification, that little heart thing. If anybody sees that heart one open up on the notifications, let me know, because I have the notification set for when he goes live.
Yeah.
So
could be the weather. Who knows? Maybe they're trying to figure out where they're going to do it.
well, you would figure that this would already been set up by now, right? So Raul
Yeah.
has just caught up. It says not live yet. Not thank you. Insightful. Not yet. Okay, which is good. So far I haven't screwed this up yet. which is always a big concern of mine, because this is the first time I'm doing this. I got myself a new laptop, which I'm using, and to be able to do the screen sharing, because I've been running everything basically off my iPad, which I'm still going to use a lot. But when I have
Yeah.
to share something, the iPad doesn't let you share it, the software yet. So it's so I went and got a new laptop. Because as you know, I'm in the process of moving and all this other stuff going on, and
Mhm.
I'm like almost like a man without a house. And so I'm bouncing around all these places, and it's difficult. So I can't buy the desktop. But as soon as I settle down, I'm buying myself a nice desktop computer so I can do all this stuff right from my comfort of my office.
Yeah.
And okay, so Lisa is sending me another text here. I'm just going to read what it says here. So this is from the charging document. Today, defendant Rex Heuremann stands before this court charged by the grand jury in a superseding indictment, which incorporates not only the above counts, but the additional charge of murder in the second degree in violation of New York State Penal Law Section 125.25, sub 1, a Class A1 violent felony for the death of Maureen Brainard-Barnes on or about July 9th, 2007. So there is your official charging statement made in court. Lisa, thank you very much for that text. I appreciate that. So, and they specifically said not changing any of the other cases. So I'm assuming now it's 4 murder charges for it.
Yeah, I don't know if you already discussed it, Joe, but apparently they're saying that Asa was away also for the timeline when Brainard was killed. So
Yeah, they've said this number of times. I know a lot of people think about different things, and I'm still a firm believer until they tell us otherwise. Remember, the police only tell us what they want you to know. They're not going to tell you everything. It's a transfer evidence, right? So it's in the car. She's in the car. The hair's there. The body's in there, and then gets transferred. And
yeah,
that's how it goes.
yeah. So it looked like, whenever the family's away, that's when, he committed these heinous acts. So that's a good lead. That's good information to go with, which I'm sure they've run with already. So
Yeah, and it says here, records now establish that defendant Heuermann's wife was also out of New York for the disappearance of Maureen Brainard-Barnes. Travel and cellular telephone billing records had previously established defendant Heuermann's wife and children were out of state during the disappearance and murders of the 3 of the 4 victims, specifically Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. During the execution of numerous search warrants following the defendant's arrest, law enforcement secured thousands of documents from storage units leased by defendant Heuermann. While the review of these records is ongoing, among the records is an August 2007 Bank of America credit card statement at the flagship hotel located in Atlantic City, as well as a transaction which should be indicative of a stay in Atlantic City from July 6, 2007 through July 20th, 2007. And I guess I don't remember the dates of the women that were found. Remember the 4 women that were found behind the Golden Key Motel in New Jersey, face down in the water on the thing? I'm sure now that's going to get resurrected also too in regards to that, because I don't know if those dates match up to when those women could have, the estimated time there. Oh boy, it's gonna be interesting for sure. I was at that location after they knocked down the hotel at the Golden Key Motel in Atlantic City, and I got some video and I got some B-roll out there. But from some of the people I spoke to while I was out there, they said it was a bad place, and that's why the towns were just wiping out all those old motels, because they were just nothing but trouble.
Yeah, Atlantic City's not exactly the nicest neighborhood to begin with. So
No.
And
But
and a lot of sex workers. So I wouldn't doubt it if Heuremann frequented that area. Just to speculate.
well, yeah, no, but here's the other interesting part of this, right? I mean, why would they in the arrest thing? Why would they specifically talk about a stay in Atlantic City with a Bank of America receipt from 2007? I
Yeah.
mean, you know as well as I do, Mike. There's no such thing as coincidences when it comes to these things.
Right.
And
Right.
I know there'll be others that will pick us apart later on and saying, "Oh, you're just running with this, and that." No, we're just talking. To me, it's an odd thing to put into the charging document.
No, for sure.
But there are always haters out there, Mike, and it's the bottom line.
Hey,
Nobody's perfect.
this is what investigators do, right? We just we go
Theorize.
with ideas and we see what sticks.
Yeah, you theorize, right? You come up with your theories and you come up with it, and then you see about what evidence and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching Death Wish. If you ever seen that old Charles Bronson movie.
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, and Vincent Gardena is the inspector. And just like we talked about in one of our episodes, he got everybody together in the squad and they're coming up with ideas. I'm like, that's exactly it. I don't know who the consultant was over there, but they probably had an NYPD detective, doing a consulting. And it was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what we do. We all come together, we come up with ideas, whatever our evidence, and we see how we come up with some kind of a theory.
Yeah. No, I mean it's just something. And like, listen, are you always right? Of course not, right? But it's something to launch the investigation from, and that's what a lot of times, the general public doesn't really understand that. But even when you have other cops or whatever, this and that, they think they always look at that one guy who's odd, right? Who always comes up with the most wildest, outlandish things. But you know what? Sometimes they're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they're right. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that.
Speaking of movies, there was another movie that I saw, Boondock Saints, and they had a detective that came up with some far-fetched thing because he was so defeated because everything he came up with was wrong. He came up with some far-fetched thing. It turned out to be correct. And like, see, you never know. You never know.
Yeah, no, I mean it is what it is. But if there's somebody out here who has the time, if they could just look up the Atlantic City 4 cases. I believe one of the victims' name was Nalfo. I think it was a Gnalfo. If you can just Google, I'm afraid to touch this thing because right now it seems to be working. And if I touch something and it goes screwy, I'm in trouble. So and just to find out what the dates were. So Kim Ralpho. That was close. Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Raul. So Raul, that's when they were found, 11/20/2006. Does that match those records? Because remember, when they were found doesn't necessarily mean when the event actually happened either. So, that whole thing comes down to it. Rafa. Thank you, Raul. When we're going to see Raul in a little while after the presser, he's going to join us. Mike, you know Raul. He was on with you already.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I can't wait to hang out with Raul.
Yeah, he's my backup. He's watching the presser just in case this thing goes belly up on us. He can then break it down for us when he gets on here.
What kind of laptop did you get? Did you go with a PC or an Apple?
No, I went with a MacBook Air.
Ooh, fancy.
Well, you know what it is. I had everything else. I have an iPhone. I got all this stuff.
Sure.
Everything now is. I need something that's idiot proof too, right? So, and this is pretty much it because my phone, my iPad, and my computer now all match.
All sync up. Yeah.
They all sync up. Everything. I got the same. So if I start something on my phone, I can finish it on the computer. I can finish it on the iPad, whatever. And as well as I do, it's great for school, right? When you're on the run, you can do something at home. I can finish it in the train. I can finish it when I get to the office, and I can just carry the iPad. So
for sure, yeah. I mean, half my work I do on my phone.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, yes, we have. So the victims' names in Atlantic City, for those of you that are interested and want to research it as we're waiting, we have Kimberly Raffo, Tracy Roberts, Molly Diltz, and Barbara Brider. The 4 women's bodies were found in a drainage ditch just outside Atlantic City in November 2006 in the order that they were identified. So for those of you that are interested in looking through this, the Atlantic City trip for Rex, though, was from July 6, 2007 through July 20th, 2007. So those dates do not match up to those cases. And if I remember specifically, they meaning the Atlantic City police said that Rex had nothing to do with that case. So, authorities have also said that South Carolina authorities have said that there's no indication that Rex is involved with any of the cases down in South Carolina. But we haven't heard from Las Vegas, who we know has Rex's DNA. Right? Remember that whole big fight? They had a fight in New York State to get the DNA, and we haven't heard anything about those cases. No, Irene, you haven't missed it. They haven't done it yet. I don't know what they're doing, but hang out with us, Irene. You don't have to worry about it. If it comes up, the Eastbound Strangler. Yes, Candace. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think just from when I was in Atlantic City and talking to people about that case, it was an entirely different demographic and group of individuals that hung around those Atlantic City things. And I think a guy like Rex, and we've seen this already now with some of the affidavits from John Ray, that he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
And people remember him.
Right.
So, yeah, so I don't know. We haven't really heard much in regards to that. So, I mean, we can probably tamp that down a lot about Atlantic City, I think.
It's interesting how they conducted their investigation over there. What kind of DNA evidence they've gathered and compared to with Rex's. Any kind of I'm sure there's a ton of video surveillance in that area.
Well, the other thing too that he put them in. It was a drainage ditch that was in water, so the bodies were in water, and I think they were all facing east or something like that. So the bodies were staged or arranged to be that way. But you know as well as I do, and anything with running water, there's a likelihood that the DNA evidence could be washed away too in regards to that. So,
sure,
whoever did this knew exactly what he was doing in regards to that. And sometimes when you hear about these stories in the news, and then say, oh yeah, if you put somebody in moving water, the DNA can get washed away. Next thing you know, the bodies are ending up in moving water. So there people watch this very carefully.
Yeah.
So Lisa has just sent me something else on DNA. Regarding the DNA, the Suffolk County Crime Laboratory and 2 outside forensic laboratories, previously referred to as the Forensic Laboratory 1 and Forensic Laboratory 2, conducted testing of hairs recovered on various victims, 5 specifically comparing the DNA profiles generated from these hairs recovered at the crime scenes to DNA profiles developed from the defendant Heuremann and members of his immediate family. So it sounds like they have Rex's DNA there too. So that's another interesting little tidbit. Thank you, Lisa. We get a chance, Lisa will be joining us later on. As this thing goes later and later, my God, I don't know what we're gonna do. People have lives and people have things to do. Does somebody just double check for me on the Instagram to make sure that he hasn't gone live and I don't know about it and we don't know about it? No, I'm looking. Nothing there.
No.
So you have the Instagram too, Mike, right? So you can check on
I
that.
do. I mean, I don't have it up, but I follow Ray Tierney on my account. So.
Okay. What is your Instagram? We could tell everybody who's interested. Maybe they want to follow you over there, Mike.
I got a whopping 85 followers. It's my name, Michael J. Alcazar. So your people do a pretty good job putting the links. So they hit the links to like my LinkedIn. There's like a link tree in it that goes to all my accounts. My it's fairly new, so I don't post much on it. I might post this like once this is live. A link to watch it. So. But thank you.
Brown from Finland, ABC7, all about the snow at the moment. Yes, because the snow is very important. Thank you, Flynn.
Yeah, we get a little bit of snow. Everyone's like in a panic, I think I got about maybe 2-3 inches. It wasn't horrible, and it was light and fluffy. I shoveled it right away. It was gone.
Is it the kind I could just bring out the The blower, the
Blower.
leaf blower, and blow it
Yeah.
right away.
In fact, I don't have one of those. My neighbor, that's exactly what he did. So,
Up, Lisa Rebikoff. Mike, you're up to 86.
yay! Thank you. I had 87. I must have lost somebody.
So Scott, he's retired from our job, Mike. He says same thing with News 12, snow. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
important. I guess well, you know what it is? Unlike them, they can pivot to something else. We just have to start just talking and keeping people entertained. Why, Lisa wants to know if I'm coming over to help her shovel like a good neighbor. That's what State Farm does, Lisa. They're a good neighbor.
I actually helped shovel my neighbor. He's new. He just moved in, so I wasn't sure if he had a shovel. So actually, it was so light. It wasn't a heavy lift, and I like getting the work out, so I did his driveway too.
So Viv, I don't know if you've met Viv. She's a sweetheart. She's great.
Yeah, she follows me on Instagram.
Yep.
Hi, Viv.
She was number 85.
Yes. I know all of them because there's not that many. I appreciate the follow. Thank you so much.
And then Sarah just put it out there too. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Scott, got a question for you. Mike,
Yeah.
Did you ever work in transit?
Did I work in transit? No.
Okay.
No. Somebody was asking that?
Yeah, Scott. He's retired off our job.
Oh, do we know Scott? Do I know Scott? Where did he work?
We haven't really discussed that stuff publicly. So
okay. Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
On the low.
Yeah, on the down low.
No, I never worked transit. I mean, I've gone to transit jobs, but never worked transit.
We all did. There's transit unavailable.
I did in Doylestown, Joe. There's an open mic, and the host over there took a liking to me, and he knows my background, and he wanted me to get up there and talk about myself. And it's, you always got to read the crowd, because I don't know who's going to be anti-police, and I kind of do it like when we teach anyway. And I was giving them some stories of like crime scenes, and civilians aren't just prepared for crime scene stories, and you get a little bit graphic. I thought I was going to have something to throw up, so I had to like cut it short.
Mike, you're up to 92 now. This is what it's going crazy. So awesome. Scott says you look very familiar. District 33, King's Task Force, Brooklyn Transit Robbery Squad. That's the same area that I chewed up. Lisa just sent me another little interesting tidbit in the bail document. Ready for this? In the bail document, they're talking about how they recovered the daughter's DNA, and on May 25th, 2023, by recovering a Monster Java energy drink from Victoria when she was on the Long Island Railroad. So probably another abandonment sample. And, for those of you that don't know, almost every state allows the police to collect abandoned property. So the second you throw something away, spit on the ground, throw your pizza crust out, it becomes in the public domain. The police can come and they can recover it without a warrant. I believe New Jersey is the only state that still requires a warrant after they get it. They still then have to get a warrant and then to get it tested. But that doesn't happen in New York, which is weird. So that's an abandonment sample. And for those of you that are looking for the Supreme Court decision on that, I want to do more reading on it. It's California versus Greenwood, and I have a short on it. If you just go to my page and go to short and scroll down on there, there's a couple of little interesting tidbits. Those shorts are 1 minute long, but I talked about what abandonment samples are, exemplars, and why it happens. It's just for those of you that might be interested.
I like your little pop quizzes too.
Yeah, Mike, it's amazing. Everybody, I mean, the other day I put one out. I think it was like 600 and something people answered the questions. So I do the quizzes. Yeah, I do the quizzes 5 days a week, Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
and everyone seems to like them. For those of you that are new to the channel, if you go to the community tab, there's probably at least 30 or 40 quiz questions in there that you can answer. They're up there forever. And you can go through it and pick up some things. Yesterday was on fingerprint types. Last week we did fingerprint patterns, which is the rarest, which is the most common. And a lot of people didn't know these things, so it's actually kind of interesting. I'm getting some great feedback, so I'm going to continue doing them.
Yeah, they're great. And one thing I learned, you really got to read the questions perfectly or you will get it wrong.
I was still, if I had hair, I would have pulled it out when everyone was still picking baskets for
I
the,
saw that. That was hilarious.
I think I said people are doing it just to mess with me.
That's
So,
funny. So Scott worked in District 33.
District,
Is that Eastern Parkway?
I think that's Broadway Junction.
Broadway Junction.
Yeah, it's in the 7-3.
In the
Right off of,
7-3.
yeah, it's right off
Yeah. I
Broadway.
think that ran along. If I remember, it ran along by the 7-7, where I worked
Yeah.
for 10 years.
It's a
So
major hub. Yeah, it's a major hub.
yeah, 7377. That's not Disneyland for the people that don't know the precincts. The 7-3 is probably the worst command in New York City, the busiest precinct, I should say.
So Raul just sent me something from News Nation. Gilgo Beach suspect Rex Heuremann is maintaining his innocence, entering a not guilty plea for being charged in the fourth death, his attorney says. Well, there's no big surprise there, right? Thank you, Raul, for that. No big surprise by Michael J. Brown, I think his initial is. That's the attorney for Rex Heuremann. I mean, what is he going to say? He's not going to say my guy did it.
Yeah.
But it's it is what it is, right? A lot of people giving Brown grief about a lot of things, but I'm telling you, I think this whole Peacock deal, he meaning Mike Brown representing Rex Heuremann, can't be happy about that whole Peacock deal that his wife is doing. He can't be.
No, of course not. It's only bad. It's only going to be bad for him.
Yeah. It's not going to help his cause at all. Plus, it also gave so much more negative attention that this, to his client that he didn't need. Right, he already had the ultimate of negative attention, and now you get this on top of it. It's something that you definitely say, like, geez, like this is what I need.
I think we talked about this with Rahul. I think it's unfair, even if she's completely innocent, that his family's making money from this, and the victims, are not right now. So
yeah,
I'm sure they're going to sue her civilly, but
well, I think there's something going to come out on this today because I don't know if I can mention the lawyer's name, but there's a lawyer that was in the courtroom that someone had texted me earlier that it's kind of interesting little tidbit over there. So I think that they're going. Well, first of all, we know that the legislation has already proposed a bill to prevent this from happening.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how. Listen, I think Peacock is the one that gets, in the long run, held with a bag, so to speak.
Yeah. And Peacock's fairly brand new. I think they're just trying to establish themselves, so that they're looking for any kind of like series that people will watch their network. So
yeah, Stork. The evidence saying they say DNA has connected him, and here is so Roger has named the attorney. So I guess I could say it now. Thank you, Roger. Gloria Allred, the famous attorney from California, came in to see this court case this morning. So that is an interesting aspect because she's got a serious resume going on and fighting some of these things. It's going to be interesting, and she's with believe with the Maureen Brainard-Barnes' family, not the Rex's family. So I think the victims are finally going to get some of their attention that they so desperately need. When you hear big names like this coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they say what kind of DNA evidence? Did they release that information yet?
They did not. We do know from the other cases they talked about hair follicles, right? And this one, if you remember, when I read it, they said about DNA from Rex himself. So
right.
They did not specify the type of DNA. Raul, okay. The comments are coming in here so fast. I went to click on it, and 4 more came in, and I clicked on somebody else's. Long delayed, but it's coming. So is Christmas, right? That's so. It's let's see. Hang on a second. I'm trying to get Lisa to come into the room now because she's got some more information on the DNA. It would be easier for just to tell us
Yeah.
Roger Still. She's a pit bull. Yeah, she is. She's got quite the reputation and she's got quite the resume. Yes, Jackie, we all agree. No family member should benefit from this, but apparently is a loophole in the entire system here that this actually happened. Gritty Grit, yeah, there are other victim reps, much I prefer over Gloria, yes, but unfortunately, we get what we get in that respect. At least there's somebody. You might not be everybody's fan favorite, but there has to be someone else other than John Ray to help with these families. There's just too many things, too many victims.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right that the homicide suspect's family is benefiting monetarily, from this case. That's just not right.
No. And quite frankly, I never really thought about it until this case. I've never really, thought about it because, everyone has, of course, different morals and ethics and stuff like that. But this one, it seems to be a sticking point, rightly so, from many people, including myself. I just find this not only disturbing, but disgusting. Let's put it that way.
Very.
So Lisa's, I hope what's coming now, you, Lisa, or the presser? which one? I sent an invite for Lisa to come because she's done such an unbelievable job getting us all that information and texting it to me. And then we can actually get her in here to do this would be great.
Yeah.
No, Flynn, it's not you. John Ray has been very quiet. We haven't really heard much of him. I'm assuming we were going to hear something from him later on. I have reached out to him. He's been very busy. And here is Lisa. Lisa.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Thank you.
Hi, Lisa.
I'm going to remove this banner because you can't see my head. Well, maybe it's better that you can't see my face.
Joe, you're gorgeous.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Lisa, thank you for all of that information. So tell us what you got.
Oh, Jesus Christ, and a cracker. So the bail, I'm here, but I've got a computer, so I've got it pulled up on my screen. So I don't want you guys to think I'm not making eye contact or anything. So right now, the entire updated bail document is actually 56 pages. However, from pages 26 to 56 is the actual original bail application. So this document is dated January 16th, which is today. And breaking it out, they're going ahead and charging him, as we mentioned, and I shot over to you before, in addition to the 3 charges of first-degree murder pertaining to Melissa, Megan, and Amber, and murder in the second degree of Melissa, Megan, and Amber, they've gone ahead and charged him with murder in the second degree of Maureen. It states here in the document that the bail application, hold on one second, it looks like, oh, are you clicking or is Ray going live?
I'm clicking it. Yeah, they're saying he's going live and I'm trying to get it up.
Sorry, I just went.
You guys talk. You just talk. I'm working on this.
Okay, no problem. So it states here that obviously July 14th, 2023, it was ordered that he be remanded but without bail. The matter was subsequently adjourned to August 1st, and then they've continued to remand him without bail.
Can you guys see this?
No.
Okay.
Not sure what you're doing. Okay, so continuing.
Oh, now I see it, Joe.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Hey, I got it. Okay, sorry, Lisa. Continue talking.
No, go for it.
No, they haven't said nothing yet.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so just, I don't know, use a safe word, give me something, or just tell me to shut up when I'm reading if they start going live.
I won't say that, Lisa, but okay.
So it states here, Boldface Center, records now established that Heuermann's wife was out of town in New York for the disappearance. Exhibit A provides cellular and travel records. Let me see here. As I mentioned, and I provided to you the Bank of America credit card statement. Let me continue scrolling. Based on post-arrest interviews with witnesses, including his wife, the task force was able to corroborate that her and her 2 children stayed in Atlantic City. They checked in and checked into the hotel on or about July 6, 2007. On or about July 13th, so we're talking 7 days later, Rex arrived in Atlantic City. On that date, him and his family then checked into a different hotel. And this is all verified by the Bank of America's statement showing all of the transactions. What's interesting is that she was there from on or about July 6th through the 20th, and he arrived on the 13th. On his credit card statement, they apparently for those of you that are not familiar with Atlantic,
1 2 check 1 2 1 2.
I guess they're going to get started.
That's Tania Lopez. That's her.
Oh, it's Tanya. Okay,
Hey, Tanya,
Yeah, here we go.
game on. Let's go.
thank you very much.
This is as loud as I can get it, guys. Come on, you're killing us. Coffee break. And we got the entourage. Ed Toulon, the sheriff.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming, braving the cold, to coming out and attend the court conference today. Just before I say anything else, I just want to preface my remarks. At this stage, these are just allegations. We are going to, we look forward to proving them in court. We're here to discuss the superseding indictment. The only change in that indictment is that we've charged the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes, which occurred in July of 2007, and that is included in the murder of the other 3 women, that being Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Wardeman, and Amber Costello. Before I discuss the indictment, I want to thank as always, I want to thank our task force partners, Suffolk County Police Department. We have, among others, we have Acting Commissioner Rob Waring. This is Rob's first appearance. Now that he's acting commissioner, I know he's going to take a more active role in this case, which we welcome. We're also Homicide Lieutenant Kevin Byer and his team is here as well. We thank them for their hard work. As always, my partner Errol Toulon from the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office, we thank them for their efforts. Errol is here with us. We have our New York State partners. We have Major Steve Udice and Captain Chris Casal. We want to thank them for their assistance. The FBI, part of the FBI team is here as well. We have supervising special agents Mike Lewis and Don Ansbacher. Want to thank them for their continued assistance in this case. I have my team, which I frequently forget to thank. I'll take the opportunity to thank them. Our chief investigator, Rich Zacharis, and his team, ADA's Larry Opizzo, Nick Santamartino, Andrew Lee, and Michelle Haddad. I want to thank them for their continued efforts in this case. Sure.
And my next door neighbor.
In addition to those task force partners, we've also received assistance or receiving assistance from the United States Secret Service, which are helping us with the downloads of a lot of the smart devices, as well as the Nassau County Police Department, Pat Ryder, as well as the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. And their assistance has been invaluable as well, so we want to thank them. And most importantly of all, I think I want to thank and acknowledge the victims' family members, many of them who are here. I want to thank them for their continued support and advocacy, not only for their family members, but for victims everywhere. And I think it's important that we keep in mind what this case is about. Maureen Brainard-Barnes was 25 years of age when she lost her life. Melissa Bartholomew was 24. Megan Wardeman was 22, and Amber Costello was 27. This is what this case is about. This is what this case should be about. And I'll confine my remarks about Maureen, but we could say the same thing about the other 3 women. Maureen was, she was an intellectual. She was a writer. She was an artistic person. She cared very deeply about the people that she loved. She fiercely protected them. She was a devoted sister, devoted mother, devoted daughter, and she's sorely missed by those that loved her. And I know I speak for the entire task force when I say it's been an honor and a privilege to work these cases and to provide that small measure of closure for the family members. And again, these are just allegations, and we'll continue to work the case. We look forward to proving the allegations in court. But again, this case is about those victims. So I just ask that we all keep that in mind.
He hasn't been too
As
detailed
I've
yet.
said, we've charged the murder of Maureen Brainard-Barnes to add to the already charged murders of Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. The defendant is charged with murder in the second degree, not murder in the first degree, because for murder in the first degree, you have to commit 3 murders within a 24-month period, and the numbers just don't work out. Maureen was murdered in July of 2009. I'm sorry, July of 2007. Melissa was murdered in July of 2009. Megan, June of 2010, and Amber in September of 2010. So that just didn't. The numbers didn't work out for murder in the first degree as to the Brainard-Barnes murder.
Makes sense.
So this indictment marks a change in the investigation. The grand jury investigation of the so-called Gilgo 4 is over. It has been concluded. And we will proceed with those cases in court. And again, we look forward to proving the allegations. But there should be no mistake. The work of the grand jury is continuing. Now we've talked about the transition from the grand jury to the prosecution. Well, with regard to those other bodies and those other murders, the grand jury, the task force will continue to investigate those cases. They'll be investigated through the grand jury, and when it is appropriate, and if we have anything to say, we'll say it at that time. But we're going to let that investigation play out. Before I turn it over for questions, I'll just talk about the bail letter. The bail letter discloses some further information on the case. Obviously, it's not all of the evidence in the case, but it does disclose some. So I'll synopsize that and open it up for questions at the end. With regard to the first part of the bail letter, it indicates that the task force has established that the defendant's family was out of state during Maureen Brainard-Barnes' murder, just as they were out of state during the murder of the other 3 victims. The family had checked into a hotel in Atlantic City in July 6th of 2007, and they remained there till approximately July 20th of 2007.
Okay, so the family went to Atlantic City, not him.
Both the documentary evidence as well as witness statements have indicated that during the time of Maureen Brainard-Barnes' disappearance on or about July 9th of 2007, Heuremann was not with his family. He joined them sometime thereafter. We also recovered 2 burner phones from the defendant at the time of his arrest. The phone ending in 1697 was recovered from his office, and the phone 2671 was recovered from his person. With regard to the phone ending in 1697, again, we see the same repetitive activity on that phone. It was used to contact numerous sex workers. We also were able to use it to identify an alias, Andrew Roberts, which was a known alias being used by the defendant. We were also able to recover a fraudulent email account, which is sandbagger303@gmail.com. The Sandbagger email address was used similar to the T-Hawk fraudulent account. The T-Hawk was used after Sandbagger, but the Sandbagger account was used once again to search for torture porn and info on the Gilgo case, on the Gilgo investigation, and victims' families. The defendant was particularly interested in the cellular telephone technology being not only used by the FBI, but specifically by the FBI in this case. We also recovered numerous electronic devices from the defendant, including a number of laptops, smartphones, tablets. From that, we learned that the defendant undertook numerous searches for software that could assist in erasing or wiping data from computer and digital devices such as Easy Hide IP and Shredder X. He used those two applications to
Interesting.
destroy evidence in this case. We see that he continued to make prostitution-related searches before, during, and after the disappearance and murder of the 4 victims in this case. Notably, on one laptop that was recovered from the house, there was an attempt to shred evidence shortly before the defendant met with and murdered Melissa Barthelemy. Another laptop recovered in the house accessed Amber Costello's Backpage ad on September 1st, 2010 at approximately 9:03 p.m. And that is just hours before the ruse occurred around midnight on September 2nd. So the way the timeline works is on 9:03, that laptop that was recovered from the defendant's house was used to access Amber Costello's Backpage ad. Thereafter, at about 11:33, the burner phone that was used to kill Amber Costello.
Uh-oh. Did it freeze up for anybody else?
Yeah.
Contact
There you go.
Okay.
Amber Costello's phone from Massapequa Park, and later at 12:05, that same phone accessed that Amber Costello's phone, but this time
Digital
the phone
evidence
had moved
alone.
from the Massapequa Park area to the West Babylon. Significant DNA evidence between the time of the first arraignment and this time, which I'll synopsize for you. At this time, we've always spoken, right from the very beginning, we spoke about the 5 hairs of significance that were recovered from 3 of the 4 burial sites of the women. So I'll just go through that. We earlier reported on mitochondrial DNA evidence as to 3 of those hairs. We now have nuclear DNA results for all 5 of the hairs. So I'll go through it.
Nice.
The first, the most significant hair for the purposes of the superseding indictment was the hair that was found on Brainard-Barnes. It was found on the buckle of the belt that secured her lower body, and we also found three hairs at the site of Megan Waterman's burial. We found 2 female hairs and 1 male hair. The male hair was found at the bottom of the burlap that Megan Waterman was wrapped in, and the 2 female hairs were found around the head area, one at the top of the burlap and one near the tape that was used to restrain Megan Waterman's head. The 5th hair was a female hair that was found in the area of.
Yeah, I think they're jamming up the Wi-Fi signal with all the pressing and all the streaming going on over there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Amber Costello's head. Now, at the time of the original arraignment, we reported on mitochondrial DNA results for 3 of those hairs. With regard to the Megan Waterman hair that was found outside the head area, it was consistent with the genetic profile of both Asa, the mitochondrial DNA profile of both Asa and Victoria Heuremann, and you could exclude the rest of the population to 99.69% of the rest of the population. With regard to the 1 male hair of significance that was found on the burlap with Megan Waterman, again, that genetic result was consistent with the defendants, and 99.96% of the population could be excluded. And then finally, we had the mitochondrial results with regard to the female hair found at the Costello burial site, and that was consistent with the genetic profiles of both Asa and Victoria Heuremann, and that was to an exclusion of 99.98% of the rest of the population. And if you remember the science of mitochondrial DNA, unlike nuclear DNA, you inherit that solely from your mother. So a mother and a child will have identical mitochondrial DNA profiles. So that is the mitochondrial results. We now have nuclear DNA profiles on all 5 of the questioned hairs. We use this using the SNP or SNP process. And with regard to the hair found in on Maureen Brainard-Barnes on that belt buckle, it was 7.9 trillion times more likely to have come from someone with the identical genetic profile as Asa Ellerup. With regard to the first hair that we got, the mitochondrial DNA profile on the female hair on Megan Waterman, that is 2.374 times 10 to the 48th power as likely to have come from someone matching the genetic profile of Asa Ellerup. And the way that that number is expressed, that's scientific expression, I'm told. So that's basically 2.374, and you add 48 zeros to that. So that's a number so large it doesn't even exist.
And you can win the lottery, 1 in 300 million.
With regard to the second hair that was found on the tape by the head of Maureen, of Megan Waterman, that was also consistent with a person with the same genetic profile as Asa Ellerup, and that was 2.778 times 10 to the 488th power. Could exclude the rest of the population. With regard to the male hair, that again, that was we received the mitochondrial DNA profile. With regard to that, the nuclear DNA profile on that was 1.48 times 10 to the 169th power, as to come from someone sharing the same genetic profile as the defendant. And finally, with regard to Amber Costello, we received the nuclear DNA profile on that, and that was 4.654 times 10 to the 63rd power, as likely to have come from someone with the same genetic profile as his daughter, Victoria Heuremann. So again, the mitochondrial DNA for mother and daughter are going to be the same. Nuclear are going to be separate. Everyone has a separate nuclear DNA profile except for identical twins. We believe these DNA results are significant. Nuclear DNA, as illustrated, is much more discriminate, and the SNP technology that was utilized allows you to get nuclear DNA results from hair. This is, cutting edge. We talked earlier, and the questions were asked with regard to mitochondrial DNA, and is mitochondrial DNA analysis cutting edge? Not really. It's been around since 1996. It's been, used in courts in the United States since about 1996, I think. This SNP process is cutting edge. There are a couple of cases around the country where it's being used, but no finished cases, I believe. But it is scientifically accepted in both the medical and forensic community. It's used in
You guys getting the breaking up?
So
Yeah.
science is certainly extremely solid. And the good thing about it is it's allowed us to differentiate between those Victoria Heuremann and Asa Ellerup hairs. So that's important. So that's basically the bail letter. I'll open it up to questions, but I just want to end with, we said at the very beginning that we were going to take a comprehensive look at the Gilgo 4 cases. I think we've done that. We've completed that. We used the grand jury process. Now we move to the second phase. The second phase being the prosecution of these 4 cases, as well as continuing to use the grand jury to investigate the other cases, the other bodies, and the other murders, which we think are investigatively significant. We use the grand jury, and if we come to a result in the time, and when the time is appropriate, we'll have further comment on that. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, no, we don't have any questions.
No, we got nothing to say.
So we're not going to talk about it because we're going to wait until we're able. We'll talk about that in court. But suffice to say that it will be a comprehensive investigation with regard to the number of the bodies. So I think later the families will be speaking. They have an attorney that they're going to be speaking. There's going to be I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but right after this. Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off.
We think Gloria is representing all of them.
I don't know. At least Maureen Brainard-Barnes.
Yeah.
And finding out about what data has been destroyed. Who's helping out with the DNA? Like, why was there a second rollout?
So we use, of course, our excellent Suffolk County Crime Lab has helped us with DNA analysis. We've also utilized two outside
And names.
forensic labs.
I've got
We haven't
them.
disclosed those names just because we want them to do their work. We've
Okay,
disclosed
so don't,
some of those
we won't
reports.
release them
The
then,
defense is
Lisa.
aware of the names of those two. We just haven't disclosed them. And their work continues.
In terms of the grand jury that you were talking about, investigation of the Gilgo 40, same grand jury now going to be investigating the remainder of the murder?
Yes, the grand jury investigation with regard to Gilgo continues. Yes.
And it's the same
Yes.
grand jury? Would Melissa Hand, because she is right here now, like to say a
Well, I think
word?
there are going to be a couple of words spoken by the members of the family after we're done with ours. Right here.
Oh, okay.
Can you put into context the layman's terms today and how and why it's significant in the safety?
So I think with regard to the DNA, first you have what we had previously was mitochondrial DNA. There are, and heretofore, mitochondrial DNA was really the only DNA you could use to get DNA, to extract DNA from hair. So that's good about mitochondrial DNA. The numbers are big, but not as big as with nuclear DNA. And because you inherit your genetic profile from your mother, there are a lot of people walking around with identical mitochondrial genetic profiles. And there are not as many base pairs with mitochondrial DNA. I think there's like 12,500, a little bit more base pairs in mitochondrial DNA. There's 3 billion base pairs with nuclear DNA. So nuclear DNA is like sort of the gold standard. If you could get to nuclear DNA, the numbers are going to be much larger. So you want to get to nuclear
Because
DNA.
it includes the
because
whole family tree.
other than
Simple
the
answer.
numbers are high, and other than identical twins, everyone's DNA profile.
Mr. Tierney, of the 10 sets of remains, you've already identified 4 of them being found between the years 2007 and 20. Can you share with us the years that you believe the other bodies were buried?
No.
No. Can you share with us what you think about the other cases? No.
There was any, obviously, that part of the case. How confident are you in the case?
Sure. I think that nuclear DNA existed in the hair since they were first recovered in 2010.
The
And
bulb,
now
though.
the science has caught up. I would say that's a good break for justice, a good break for the investigation. Others might disagree. But the fact that we're able to utilize technology to obtain a nuclear DNA result that we are confident in and that we are confident in defending in court and making admissible, these are all good things.
What took so long with Maureen Brainard-Barnes? I mean, the other ones we knew in July, the 3. What took so long? Can you speak to her circumstances specifically, especially because she did have hair allegedly on the belt?
So we spoke about the need for investigative secrecy, and as we were working through, and at the time we thought it was necessary to take the case down, we had completed 3 out of the 4 investigations, with Maureen Brainard-Barnes being the 4th that we did not complete. One of the main reasons why we didn't complete the Maureen Brainard-Barnes investigation is because we knew we had this hair, and we were awaiting, among other things, we were awaiting the result of that nuclear DNA result, which didn't occur at the time of the original takedown. So that was the main reason.
Can you just speak to what this moment means for the task force, for the family, Sarge related?
Well, I think it means a lot to the task force because we know that it provides a small measure of closure for the families, and so we're really happy to provide that for them. We know that there's a lot of hard work to go, that these are allegations that we need to prove them, but it's nice to be able to let the families know that notwithstanding a lot of the things that have been said, we've always focused the case in the right direction. We always kept the victims in mind, and we were able to obtain a result which we're pleased with.
I agree, Pete. Getting into the weeds now.
Correct.
Okay, and so in addition to, the defense also tried to cast some doubt on some of the evidence, so
he also said something to the effect of, just because an individual is prostitute doesn't make them a killer. In regards to the new evidence of the burner phones, is there anything you'd like to share with that?
No, I think that's what trials are for, and we look forward to proving these allegations in court.
And can you speak just a little bit to Maureen Brainard-Barnes' specific circumstances? I know we've spoken about all four as a group. What specifically does your office know about her circumstances for death so far?
Well, I mean, I think that the circumstances of all the four women are very similar. Their backgrounds are similar. Unfortunately, their deaths are very similar, and that's why we focused on the Gilgo four. But it's what we're willing to disclose about that death is everything that we've talked about now, with regard to the utilization of the four separate burner phones to lure these women out to Massapequa Park, where they were unfortunately murdered.
In the document released today, there was talk about what was in origin. Not much. What else is
I agree, Teresa.
Sure. So, basically what is required to us as prosecutors is we have grand jury material, which is secret, and then we have stuff which is publicly disclosed. So we comment on information that's publicly disclosed. There are literally mountains of information that have not been publicly disclosed, but I'm ethically enjoined from speaking about those. So I can't speak about those. So I won't. That's it? Sure.
Okay, folks. So there we go. So we got our panel together. The first thing I want to just explain, and you guys can jump in on this. If you guys have been a member of this channel for a while, you know the answers to these questions already, because I gave you questions both on nuclear DNA and mitochondrial DNA. And I told you mitochondrial DNA, just remember M for mom. Only people who are from your mother's side of the family can be identified. So you only have half the tree. Nuclear DNA, you get both parents, you get the entire tree, and that's what the district attorney was talking about, where it's a more inclusive type of thing, and it is the gold standard. You always want to try to get nuclear DNA, and I hope that explains all that DNA mumbo jumbo in pretty much a simple sentence. That's basically what he's saying here. But here's the point. You have a 1 in 300 million chance to win the lottery. Other than Rex being the guy who did this, is 1.79 trillion. So you figure that one out, right? So you could win the lotto hundreds of times over before it's not his DNA. So good luck to Michael Brown and his crew over there. So what do you guys think? What's your first impressions?
Same thing that they asked in the presser. I want to know what took so long, to get this DNA evidence. So I guess it was the lab, just a delay in the lab, right? So
yeah. Remember, they said it was degraded, remember, too. And Maureen's body was there the longest. It was almost probably like a full year out there beforehand. So it was out there with the elements for an extra year. And you know as well as I do, out on Long Island, between the salt water, the seawater, the air, the weather, and the floods and everything else, who knows?
What about that email? I didn't know about his email, Sandbagger. That's the first I heard of it today.
Me too. How about you, Lisa?
Crazy.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity we started going over it before the bail application, and Tierney kind of touched on a couple of things, but I just want to reiterate a couple of things from the bail document. So for clarification, so everyone's on the same page, Asa and her children checked into a hotel July 6, 2007. On or about July 13th, a week later, Rex arrived. So we have 1 week where, again, fitting the pattern of where the family travels, whether it's just Asa alone or with the kids, he's left unattended. So this is the epitome of the cat's away, the mouse will play. Except he's not a mouse, he's an ogre. He then arrives and goes ahead and checks into a different hotel. So we also don't know. I mean, for me as a private investigator, I'm thinking, okay, why would you change hotels? Why is it okay for you to stay there or your wife and your kids to stay there, but you can't stay there with them? So there's also just maybe a change of scenery that I would definitely call into question. Then it stated that around Maureen's disappearance, which occurred on or about July 9th. Again, it falls into that time period of when he was left unattended. He discussed the new recovery of the burner phones more specifically. I have to cross-reference it, but I'm not sure if these are the same 2 burner phones or additional phones that were previously found, or this is just new information. There is, well, I mean, the bail document's going to be made public, but you'll see some images to which he was responding to back pages, and they actually took the ads and put them in the bail doc. They're pretty graphic. Not going to put them here.
Good.
So with regards to the sandbagger, this is the first time that we've heard of this account. Google records obtained via subpoena were received for an account that was created in 2017 and was subscribed to the name Andrew Roberts. And Andrew Roberts, we know from the previous bail document, that was an alias that was used by him. This account through Google subpoena search records was accessed as recently as April 2021. That is a huge indicator there. In April 2021, I'm going to read the PG version of this list, but let's just say that he's looking for very graphic. I mean, let me preface it this way. We thought before that list of search terms that he was looking for in some of these search engine kinks, porn, whatever he was looking for was pretty bad. I'm going to tell you right now, this list is worse. So it shows that over a length of time, his criteria or what he's looking for, maybe his sexual fantasies, the sadism, whatever role playing is going on in his head, is drastically getting worse. Could it be the fact that he hasn't killed? Maybe. Could it be the fact that he's just sitting in the house cramped up? I mean, April 2021, we're only looking a year after COVID. We're still dealing with the pandemic. He's stuck in the house. We don't know what's going on. But he's got everything from different types of pornography, very graphic acts during pornography. He's still pursuing Asian escorts, New York City escorts, Manhattan. He was even also, and this is probably one of the most disturbing things, one of his search criteria states how I was raped audio. So he's looking for an audio video or audio tape, maybe a book.
Yeah, we got to watch that word on here.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah, YouTube is very excited over that word.
Oh, okay. So sexual assault, I substituted for that. It's just very interesting how he's now going as so far where he wants to listen to the narrative of a victim. That's just again a totally different level of I don't have any words.
When you think about it though, Lisa, right? Remember when Rodney Harrison, the police commissioner at the time, called him a demon, right? I mean, he knew about all this stuff, and then now all this stuff is coming out. We can definitely say, yeah, Commissioner Harrison was correct when he said that. Like, Mike, so sorry.
I was going to say Rodney hit the nail on the head. I mean, everyone's called him a monster, an ogre, a sadist, an animal. I mean, this is just,
Mike, I'm going to switch to you a second about the digital evidence that we heard about with the phones. From an investigative standpoint, I'd be salivating at what they're talking about on that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good that they were able to recover that, given the number of years that have passed. So that's very telling, all the information they received, his burner phones, the accounts, the different accounts. So, that's very damning evidence that they're going to definitely use during the court. So good job for them.
Well, I tell you, we coupled with the digital evidence, coupled with the forensic evidence, geez. This case,
and that's just what we know, right? That's just what he's letting us know.
Exactly, and we still haven't heard. And Lisa and I had talked about this yesterday, right, Lisa, about the search warrants at the storage facility. We still haven't heard about those things or the house.
Yeah, it seems like it's giving a lot of information out there. I saw some of your viewers questioning, is he allowed to share all this information? But I guess he is. He's releasing information that's public knowledge. So.
Well, it's going to come out in the discovery anyway, right? Because with the news discovery laws, they're going to get everything within a certain period of time. It's going to come out anyway, so it's not really like what he's telling tales out of school. But it's just it's not. He's not talking about the next step. This is what we're going to do next, and then maybe screw something else up. He's just already talking about what has already been done and what's available to us. Mm-hmm. I like the fact that he almost is like feels like. And what do you guys think about it? Like he's almost trying the case on Instagram today, right? Telling you about
Yeah.
how many of the 40-second power numbers. And first of all, I sucked at math anyway, so he lost me at math. Yeah, Bob Mata just entered the room. Hello, Bob. Thanks for showing up.
So taking a look at the document here, it's very interesting that the first time that he starts using the shredding software on a computer is July 9th, 2009. So that's after Maureen. So maybe he got something in his head of thinking, okay, I got to start covering my tracks. I did it once. I'm going to keep going. Because then again, he's continuing with the software. Hold on, let me scroll up here. I mean, his search terms just pertain, and again, the Sandbagger account, as I mentioned, was July 2021. And then he continued to look for how cell phone tracking is increasingly being used to solve crimes. FBI cellular analysis survey team. How does cell site analysis work? Historical cell site analysis, overview and principles. Then he has specific searches pertaining to an article regarding Maureen Brainard-Barnes' mysterious disappearance and talking about the victim's sister. So these are new search terminologies that have never been brought forward. So clearly they are actively working this investigation pertaining to the cell phone forensics. They've got Secret Service involved, which is actually just fantastic because they've got some of the best stuff out there. I know I've collaborated with them on a couple of cases, but it's just, yeah, this is more, we thought the original bail application was damning. If this doesn't further just nail him to the cross per se, he's done. He was already done. He was cooked before, but now he's fried.
Yeah, and Bob Mata just entered the room. Defense attorney says basically his goose is cooked, right? So when you have a defense attorney comes in there and watches what's going on, boy, it's something. It's wild. So yeah,
I'd love to know where this defense attorney, where Mike Brown is going to be doing his presser, because clearly Tierney wants to go ahead and either use this as a political stunt, because Joe, you and I talked about he wants to maybe run for governor.
Yeah, I think that's happening here.
But I want to know, is Mike Brown going to say anything about this? Because, I mean, he also, from what I know of him, he's not the guy to shoot from the hip. And I understand that, especially given the new documents and everything that's going to come forward. But I want to know what the hell he wants to say. How is he going to justify anything? How is he going to justify a defense?
I have no idea. And I think that I wouldn't want to be him. Yeah, like Bob just said, if he's smart, he's not having a presser. Bob, if you can join us, I sent you a link. If you can join in for a few minutes. If I sent you a link, if you can. If not, no worries, brother. But it's absolutely craziness that to think. Could you imagine being Michael Brown right now? I wouldn't want to be him. Sorry, I wouldn't want to be him. He's got everything going up against him. He's got the digital evidence. He's got the forensic evidence. He's got Acer against him, right? And their attorney pushing the Peacock stuff. I mean, if you notice, none of that was asked today, right? They didn't ask if about Acer and stuff like that, which is good. Maybe the media is finally getting away from all that distraction, and let's get down to the crux of this thing, which is let's prosecute him for these 4 cases. Let's get these victims back their names and their dignity, and get the families the closure that they've been looking for. And I liked again that he said that this has basically been victim centric. I mean, something that we hadn't seen in a long time in this case. I mean, it's as simple as that. So I'm glad he said that.
Joe, I've got a question for you. So I don't know what your thoughts are on this. So Tierney states that they did the first phase. Now they're in second phase pertaining to prosecution and using the grand jury to go ahead and tie into other bodies and victims. I know for me, I'm thinking of one specific one. Who would you go ahead and identify that statement with?
I would probably go with Peaches because, Peaches. Raul just joined us from Ketchley. Peaches, because of the fact that her remains were found in a container where there could have been DNA evidence, like we saw, like as you talked about, the DNA contained in the burlap bags, right? He said the hairs were found inside the bag. So anytime you have a situation where it's a closed-in environment, no matter what the environment is outside, in the rain, in the cold, in the hot, it still could be contained inside that bin. And I think, and it's a plastic bin, so it doesn't degrade. So I'm hoping that that's where it is. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for, can you hear me? Thanks for having me. Hi,
Yes.
Mike. Hi, Lisa.
What's up, Raul?
We can
Hi.
hear you fine.
All right, I had to just get it out of my system. I was hoping to catch the rest of the press conference with the families speaking, but Gloria Allred went on a little diatribe and the news cut it off, and I'll try to catch it afterwards.
Oh, okay. I mean, did she say, was there anything good that she said, or was it anything?
No, she started laying the groundwork with an older case regarding sex workers and a criminal, and basically the law allowing rapists to have a field day. And everything was happening all at once. So I couldn't get that information, but I'll backtrack on that. But
Okay.
I didn't get to hear any of the victims speaking, the victims' families speaking, but I was very happy to see them.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's good to see. Like I said, we don't know what the role is. I didn't cover the Gloria thing because I was just so happy that I was able to get the Instagram thing working. God forbid if I had to switch to something else. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that.
I had
But-
7 different types of streams open, ready to catch it anywhere I can. I had like 12 different YouTube channels ready to go, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we just got to make this happen. But yeah.
So Lisa, we were talking about the Peaches case. Is that the one that you were keying up on, or did you have another one?
No, that was the first one, because through speculation to the grapevine, and we all have our sources, it keeps coming back that, okay, they've ID'd Peaches. And it's almost like it's the same thing with Karen Vergata. When they had it originally, they had her ID and they held on to it. So my question is that they have different victims and they're trying to build all of these cases. My concern is the fact of how long is it now going to take them to do this? Why are they continuously holding stuff close to the vest? And I understand in a situation they want to tie the 4 together. But what about everyone else? You can't just supersede one victim versus another. They are all victims. And I think it comes down to resources and not either having enough or having the resources, but go ahead and make sure that they're correct ones. But we have also the baby. I mean, there's just, I'm not in a let's hurry up and wait type of situation, but I want more answers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think, everyone in the panel probably agrees with that statement too. I just think right now that Gilgo 4, the 4 cases are going to be front and center and everything. And we just have a special guest, folks. The home runs just keep on coming.
Oh, what's up, party people?
What's up?
Hey,
Bob?
Bob.
All right, Bob, strictly from the defense point of view, you're Michael Brown. Besides quitting, what do you do?
Yeah, man, big day for Maureen and her family, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was a great day. Powerful evidence that nuclear DNA. Whew, it's tough to get over. I had seen some comments, people talking about that all the evidence they have against him is circumstantial. So what? It's very powerful circumstantial evidence. And frankly, most cases are tried on circumstantial evidence.
Yep.
Frankly, circumstantial evidence is most often more powerful than direct evidence because, frankly, eyewitness accounts are very unreliable. They just are. There's a lot of ways you can attack eyewitness accounts, and direct evidence really, to me, short of video where you can clearly see the perpetrator, it is just not reliable. The fact that they have all that data from his devices, they have the proof of it's indicia of guilt that he was destroying and deleting evidence. What they were able to recover, obviously through Cellubrite or whatever they used, it's extremely powerful. The only defense that I can think of is essentially that, well, we had these, he's got to lean into, we had sex parties. So, she was at the house. It doesn't mean I killed her. You know what I mean? It's like that. And who's buying that?
Yes.
No one's buying that. So if I'm Brown, I'm in serious discussions about, just pleading it out problem is y'all don't have the death penalty in New York, do you?
No, we have murder first degree still,
Yeah.
but it's been declared unconstitutional. But it could be done federally if the feds step in. They can override that.
Like that's kind of the, that's the carrot in cases like this to try to get him to plead. I anticipate that it'll go to trial because he's got nothing to lose. Whereas if the death penalty is on the table, and I'm not a big proponent of the death penalty because I think that there's no more brutal punishment than spending your life in a cage. That's just my personal opinion. It doesn't even go to morality. It just goes to the fact that if you really want to punish somebody, you take every single thing that we know as human beings to be what makes us humans away from them for the entirety of their life. That's as bad as you can get. But that's just me, I mean, eye for an eye. I think it lets them off the hook, to be honest with you. Yeah, they're in there for 14 years fighting through appeals, and then they get executed. The guy should have been in there for another 30 years. Everything that we take for granted, hugging your grandchildren, hugging your kids, putting your feet in the ocean, swimming in a pool, everything that we all take for granted is gone. So, but like when the death penalty is not on the table, that carrot's gone. So as a defense attorney, you're saying, well, we can go to trial because you have nothing to lose. I mean, if you're convicted, it's the same result. So I won't be surprised if it goes to trial. If he had any kind of soul, he would just plead it out, but we know he doesn't.
He doesn't. Yeah.
So
great point.
I anticipate that it's probably going to go to trial, which, sometimes that's okay, especially when we have this kind of time passage. It's tough on the victims' families for certain, but I also think that sometimes that there's, a real feeling of justice served when it goes to trial. I feel like sometimes when things plead out, that families, you don't get that same sense of justice from hearing the jury walk in and say guilty, and having the judge sentence him. It's a different vibe. I know it sounds weird, but I've talked to plenty of families of victims, and there's a certain satisfaction. And as painful as it is to go through the trial itself, but to go through the process and have it proven beyond a reasonable doubt, it gives people, just a more of a sense of closure. So if he goes to trial, so be it. I have no doubt that the state will put on a great case, and the guy's going down. I mean, me, I mean, I'm a defense attorney, it's alleged, until trial, but powerful case, man. Powerful case.
Yeah, I think a lot of the evidence, like even Michael Brown did a brief little presser before the main one, and he was talking about how I guess his only real angle is to challenge that DNA by saying that there are 28 out of 10,000 people with a genetic hair match to Asa. Well, versus Tierney's math of like 2.374 times 10 to the 488th power is kind of overwhelming as far as a scientific look at that. And if he pleads, I would just want to see a plea deal with comprehensive details put out there. We want.
I mean, they just we won't get that though, Raul. It'll be I mean, essentially what you do when you plead out is, the judge will ask for basically what the state would have shown at trial in kind of a brief recitation. We'll essentially hear everything that we've heard thus far, if they have additional evidence, but it'll be in a very summary type fashion. And he won't necessarily have to do anything in terms of saying, well, we agree that that's what the state would tender as evidence at trial. You're never going to get that moment where Heuremann saying, I did it. It's like you just don't get those moments when they plead out like that. Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, I really do think it'll probably go to trial because I think Heuermann's just that kind of creep. I think he's just a massive weirdo narcissist, right? That's got, zero regard for human life. You know, he's just a soulless weirdo. You know, it's like when you see him, you know him. You know, it's like the Supreme Court had once said that, you know, we don't know how to define pornography, but we know it when we see it. It's kind of the same thing with these guys. You know, when you get the Heuremanns and the Gacy's, there's something missing from them, and you can see it in their eyes, because the eyes are most definitely the window to the soul, you know. And when you get that thing where you're just looking at them and it's like looking into the abyss, you just know, you know, and this guy's that guy, you know. And I'm happy to hear that they're going to continue to try to put these other victims on him. You know, the investigation's not over. Not by a long shot, but in terms of this case moving forward, you know, we got the 4 indictments that we needed. So, you know, but there's still work to be done, obviously.
Yeah, there's plenty of work. I mean, there's still, you know, Jessica Taylor, there's Valerie Mack. Of course, you were talking about Peaches and Toddler. There's Asian Doe. And then there's the outliers, if you will, the Tanya Rushes and many other victims, even Natasha Jugo, and
Exactly.
there's so much out there to be.
This guy traveled, man. You know, he was out there, and if you think for one second that this guy wasn't doing what he does when he's on the road, you're sadly mistaken. It's all going to be about coming up with the evidence. So, like always, which can be frustrating.
I mean, he proudly states that he was in the city since 1987. And, you know, he was born in 63, 73, 83. He's already over right there in the realm of typical serial killer escalation date. So,
100%.
You know, you look at all those building permits on the map, and for me, on my map, you see the building permit locations, you see the victims all around, you know, you see hazel-eyed icons, and it's like, ooh, you know, this guy is seriously prolific, probably.
Well, I mean, four is prolific in my book. One is prolific when you're doing it just with straight intention to kill, you know, with no other motive other than to end somebody's life. That's as prolific as you need to be for me in terms of being just a shit human and just, you know, somebody that we need to be done with. But he is, you know, I'm just thankful, you know, Joe. I know that, you know, I'm going through that Gacy stuff with, you know, I'm really trying to, you know, my cop buddy from Chicago, not my cop buddy from New York, we're adamant on that he had more victims, and they had done zero investigation. Chicago police had done no like what we're seeing here with Heuremann did not exist with Gacy. Like it was, they recovered the victims from the crawl space, the 2 from the property, and the 5 from the river, but that was it. They investigated nothing.
They washed their hands. And that's what was happening before Harrison took over in Suffolk too.
Yeah,
it was just kind of
like, I mean, with the possible victims, I can't tell you how many submissions I've made as possibles to, you know, the tip lines and to the FBI and to Suffolk County. And, you know, with all the documents I created, there's your timeline. I incorporated all of Rex's whereabouts and the family's whereabouts, and then these possible victims. And, you know, it's really concerning. And I'm pleased to hear Tierney say that, yes, we're good with the 4, Maureen, Melissa, Megan, and Amber. But like I said, there's at least 6 more there. There's still Shannon Gilbert that really needs another look at. There's also wherever else Rex went in the country.
Yeah, we're still waiting to hear about Vegas, right? Vegas has got his DNA. We still haven't. They got his DNA. They fought for it, and we heard nothing. Boom, just total silence. No denial, no nothing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can take a while to process depending on what the lab is like. I would assume that, you know, it's not their jurisdiction, so they're probably not going to have the sway over the lab like they will in New York, where they're like, okay, you know, this one's jumping to the front of the line, get it processed, you know. So I don't necessarily take it as bad news with respect to the Nevada lab, but, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where you just kind of you got to hope, you know, that they're that they're in Raul, man. like I can't help but think that you got, like, they didn't name you, but when I was listening to the presser, I had to feel like they were talking about you as one of the advocates out there that has been unbelievable about keeping this case at the forefront of everybody's mind. So in my book, brother, they're definitely talking about you. So
thank you. There were many people in that room that I communicate with, and it's probably aside from my kids, it's my greatest honor to know these people and to be motivated, inspired by them, and to even be able to text them, call them, speak with them.
That's why we love you, man. You're a true advocate.
It's a blessing for me, and it makes me very humble and emotional. But I'm manning up because I'm publicly buzzed right now.
That's okay.
Hey, man, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, brother.
It sure is.
Hey, listen, we've been on this stream now. We're going on nearly 2 hours. We're still
2 hours.
maintaining 250, live watches. So this is definitely the
People
highest
know.
watched
Sarge,
live.
people know.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've had a great panel today so far. I mean, Lisa, Raul, you, Mike had to drop off because he had to run somewhere. But it's really amazing when you take a look about how fast this came together in that in that short period of time where we went from nothing to boom. Here we are now. Whatever, 2 years later on, we got 4 cases attached to this guy, from what most of us looked like, thought there would be none.
Yep.
So kind of very happy about that idea too. Yep. The new commissioner thing scares me that they still haven't put a new police commissioner in.
Joe, you're in my head. I was just going to bring that up, being the fact that Rodney and Anthony are both gone, and it's different because you and I have already discussed this because of our relationships with them and whatnot. But to go ahead and see such work done and the passion and commitment that Rodney have to come in and say, this is what my objective is, this is what I'm going to do. And he didn't shy away from, oh, well, maybe or whatnot. He was determined and he said, I'm going to do this. And he did it. Yeah. Now there's the concern of there's an acting commissioner. Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was just the chief, correct? And now he's the commissioner. He's acting. So he hasn't been fully appointed yet. And from what I also gather, Romain has already stated that he's going to hire internally, but he's also going to look externally.
I mean, with Rodney's thing, like, Lisa, did you see when Joe had him on?
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah, but and I'm sorry to interrupt, but like the timing of him stepping away when 2 weeks earlier he's on Joe's stream, I got zero indication that was a guy who in any way, shape, or form had any interest in stepping away from this. It's like that's where my head's at with it. Yeah. Something more nefarious is going on, but
there was a lot of underground rumblings and some disconnections happening between Rodney and the rest of the team. Not people in charge, but people in charge.
It was people in charge. I was going to say there were I want to the best way to put this is that there were definitely rumblings going on internally. There were changes that were being made. It was also a political election year. So that was also trying to make sure that he takes control of the narrative and goes out on the terms of which he wants versus being removed from a position. Suffolk County is not an easy place to be involved, separate from the criminal justice system out in Suffolk County or New York State. We're talking just the political players and what's going on out there. It's not easy. And so that was an issue. There was also internal HR issues and people coming and going and talking about longevity and personal relationships and stuff like that. So I guess due to all of the underlining factors, and yes, I never thought Rodney was going to be going anywhere. But then all of a sudden we all find out that Newsday article, hey, P.S. I'm resigning, but we don't know what else. That definitely took everyone for a loop.
Well, I mean, think about the timing. Like how many days after he's standing next to John Ray at those pressers, I mean, to me, looking from the outside, like you guys obviously have relationships, with people in Suffolk County, and you have a better understanding of the dynamics that are going on there. But as an outsider looking in, I know that there are a lot of people that were not fans of what John Ray was bringing forward. And love him or hate him, I happen to really appreciate the guy. I think he's out there. And I mean, everybody has warts, right? But in terms, I think his heart's in the right place. Ultimately, can he have some ulterior motives? Of course, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he's trying to get something done for victims and victims' families. And when Rodney stood by him on that day with some pretty heavy duty allegations, which I think may include people that may not want information getting out. I don't know. The timing was very suspicious for me.
I agree.
I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I mean, out of everything with John Ray, you have to give him credit for 13 years of fighting for Shannon, when that's all that he had, and that's all that the Gilbert family had. And he put it out there. He kept trying. He, the lawsuits, the depositions, the press conferences, dramatic, yes, but hey, whatever.
Right.
It garners attention, and I consider that doing part of his job, so that's fine. The validity of these new affidavits are interesting, and we know that there's some validity to it because Suffolk County went and investigated. They found the detective from NYPD. They spoke with them, so there's some truth in all of that. I don't know how much of it is true, and we can only hope to see and learn more. We do know he has a couple of more witnesses, and let's see what happens in a few weeks in a couple of weeks with the symposium. Maybe something will come out at that point too, and do something with that. I mean, I'm very close with Cherie, and I care very much about the legacy of Shannon Gilbert, and I'll fight for that end. And I think there's more to be figured out. Now, whether it ties into Rex or not, both can exist at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
they're not mutually exclusive. That's for sure.
Right. So wherever it goes, as long as it goes, that's all it is. The wheels of justice move slow, but let's keep them going.
Yeah.
And you also got to, think about too, John Ray, when he put himself out there on so many different things, I mean, the abuse that he takes in regards to it, even on, online abuse, even in the media and everything else. I mean, the guy has really stuck to it. Like you said, like him or not, he's been on this show a number of times. He's a very personable guy. He's got the drive, he's got the initiative. And like you said, Bob, wherever he wants to take this or whatever he wants to do, that's his business. But he really has, without him, this case would have died in the media a long time ago, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
I believe that even if he's out there with his fedora hats and his suits and he's ranting, he's raving, and he's doing his press conferences, he's keeping his name relevant, but he's not doing it for his own personal gain. He's doing it to continue to bring the victims forward pertaining to their names, their identities, and everything else. So I've got no problem. I mean, I love John to death. I've been on podcasts with him. I've met with him in person. I even offered my services to him pro bono pertaining to the investigation. And as long as he continues doing what he's doing, this case is going to stay in the forefront.
No
question.
question.
I mean, he released the whole data dump with, of course, Shannon's autopsy, but, all the information, the phone records. So he put out there, and challenged the narrative and allowed people like me to challenge the narrative that was out there. So, at the end of the day, if he writes a book, I'd be right there on first online to get it signed and purchase the hard copy. So,
100%. I mean, look, the guy's done the work. Like no one can deny the fact that he's, when he's going out and getting affidavits, he's investigating it just like any other defense attorney, as if he was representing a defendant. Like that's what we do. We go out, we have to conduct our own investigation. That's what he's done. I'm not sweating him if he gets notoriety, if he deserves some. But if the motive is pure, which I know that it is with him, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like if he gains notoriety and makes some money off it, so that's irrelevant. It makes no
I agree.
difference.
And if that's their only argument, I usually tune them out when they say, "Oh, he's going to get something." Well, who doesn't do something to get? There's got to be a benefit, something other than we all
have to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting that the Gilgo Beach 4, the families have retained Gloria Allred. That that's a solid statement right there. So
100%.
It's good to see another attorney jump into the arena here.
Yeah.
Lisa, you're going to say something.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. She's going to guard it and say it.
I'm like foaming at the mouth, but I'm not foaming at the mouth. So for those of you that are tuned in and don't know anything about Gloria, Gloria is la creme de la creme when it comes down to female advocate attorneys. She previously worked with victims of Jeffrey Epstein. She has gone ahead and worked with victims of Harvey Weinstein. She very much was big during the Me Too movement, representing different, not only celebrities in Hollywood, but she also does take cases of situations like this. That she has a reputation of going ahead and just jumping on the bandwagon for the notoriety. But I can tell you that what I know of her and what I've interacted with her office before, that I do not believe that she's here for any other reason than to advocate appropriately for these families.
Yeah,
And
I
I'll
mean,
just-
like,
I'll leave it.
what is the expectation of anybody with respect to people that advocate? You know, I mean, like anybody that's going to cast shade because potentially an advocate is getting some kind of remuneration or being paid for it, that's insane. That's insane. The job is the job. You know what I mean? And if you're out there doing good, you know, I mean, like in that sense, then the nurses shouldn't be paid because doctors shouldn't be paid. I mean, like the concept of it is crazy to me. When people dedicate their lives to something that's, you know, doing something positive for humanity, it's a win in my book. I don't even look at the ledger because the ledger is irrelevant to me because money doesn't mean shit, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, that it's what you choose to do with your time and what you choose to do in terms of making a mark on humanity that matters. And that's it, period, in my book. So, you know, it's like with our friend, you know, Carrie, you know, people that come at her, I get so pissed off.
Me too.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Pardon my French. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, that she's giving us insight into something that, and I've said this before, that maybe 2 people on the planet could give us insight into. Like there just is no one else like that has survived that kind of trauma. And she's willing and she fights through all of her own demons to do it. And when people attack her, man, I won't have it. I just won't have it. Not on my watch. I mean, anytime I'm like in there, like somewhere where somebody's like, "Oh, you made money on a book," I'm like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Oh, that drives me crazy. Yeah. And if I usually respond back, "Did you read the book? Do you know what the book's about?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, I didn't read the book." Well, then read the book first, and then come back and say, you know what you know. Please, like I said, I get nuts when it comes to people just mouthing off for the sake of mouthing off. I mean, listen, as a cop for so many years, I'm used to it. I got a turtle back, but you know, it's when you're attacking vulnerable people, it's just, you know, come on, grow up already with some of this stuff.
For real.
And it's just
people just don't understand, you know. It's like easy to sit behind a computer and talk trash, you know. It's another thing when, you know, I mean, Joe, we both were with Carrie at Crime Con, and man, that was a lot for her, you know. They had her running all over the place, and you could just see it, you know.
Yeah, she was stressed.
mean, oh man, it's like,
I was going to say, I was with Carrie right before she went out for her session. I was in the green room with her, and I was with Joel and with Laura Engel and kind of talking to her and like walking her through everything. And it's not easy. I mean,
no,
like being on that stage, just even as a speaker talking about polygraphs is nerve wracking for me at least. And I eventually got used to it after a few times, but to go out there and to have to put yourself out, you're literally throwing yourself to the wolves, emotionally, 100%. Physically, mentally, on top of everything Carrie's already been through. I mean, I could never imagine being able to be in that situation and bare my soul. I'm literally like just lining up to the pearly gates and being like, "Here, take me." And that's what she does every single day. And the fact that people have to dump on her, I almost used the other word. I don't even know what's safe on YouTube anymore. But I'm just like, synonyms in my head. But
It
for
wa-
people to go
look,
ahead and
we've all
It's-
had trauma in our lives of some form or another, but none of us, even if we combine all of it, all the trauma that we've had in our lives, come even close to what she's survived. I mean, you have to try to like it's that old thing, you know, you got to try to walk a mile in someone else's shoes before you come at them. And like, I couldn't even begin to contemplate just how difficult that must be for her to process in terms of, you know, I don't know. It's just one of those things that like, I'm very defensive when people attack her, and I'll always have her back. If I'm in the room, you know, like I'll step in front of her and take the bullet, you know, because I'm like, and I'll call people out on it. I won't have it, you know, because people are very short-sighted sometimes, you know. I mean, that's just a fact. Joe, you didn't tell me that there was going to be a bunch of grizzly bears up in this chat.
We got invaded. Yes, we got invaded by
bears. I think I saw G and herself. I thought she popped in.
She has popped in on occasion on certain
I think I
days.
saw her here. I
think she's
thought I
here
saw
now.
Gisela popped in early.
Yeah.
And then a whole flock of bears came in here.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the first time we got carpet bombed with grizzlies, but it's
such a
awesome
great
when they all
group.
show up, because we jumped from 180 to 274 in about a split. I don't know if you saw me. I went like this when I saw the numbers jump. So you know,
Yeah, we can read your face like a book, Joe.
Well,
his eyes get big.
Well,
You know what, my
then you
brother,
would have
you
seen me
deserve it.
worried
You're great.
earlier trying to figure out how to stream the Instagram live thing. I was like,
that was fun.
yeah, if I had hair, I would have pulled it out. But
Yeah.
all right. I mean,
Well, big
it's
day, man. Big day. So
big day. This
congrats
has been some
you
panel.
guys.
This is by far.
No.
So let's just go around the room. Lisa, we'll start with you. Your final thoughts and where you want to see this case go. We'll start with you, Lisa, and then we're going to go to Bob and then Raul.
I want to see this case prosecuted. I don't want him to be pled out. I want him in a cage of sunlight that he will never be seeing. I want more victim identifications. I want more advocacy for not just the I want these grand jury convened now.
Yeah.
Bob, your final thoughts.
I echo basically everything that Lisa just said. I think that ultimately I'd like to see it to go to trial. I think that the victims' families deserve it. I think that this thing needs to be tried in the sunlight. I want that guy sitting in a courtroom, and I want the evidence presented because to me, at this point, from what I've heard, and there's going to be more, but what they've decided to release in terms of the bail applications and the bail letters is extremely powerful. And, you know, sometimes in life, it's better when people have to sit in a court of law and answer for their crimes. You know, and I'm hoping that's going to happen. I'm pretty confident that it will, in the sense that I don't believe that guy's ego and his narcissism will allow him to plead out. I think he's going to try to fight it. I think that he probably thinks he can beat it. And, you know, I'm ready for him to get put down, man. Get that guy in the cage.
Before we get to Raul, Bob, I want to ask you one more question. If you're the defense attorney, do you put him on the stand in it for any reason?
Ooh. No way. Yeah. not a chance. Not a chance.
Now, what happens if he says, I want to go on the stand?
Well, I mean, we saw how it worked out for the last narcissist that was on trial, Murdoch.
That's what I'm referring to, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like I could just see him, you know, oh, no, you know, I got this one covered, fellas. You know, I'm a talker. People love me. I'll get up there. You know, it's like this guy, like, there's no way. But ultimately, it's his choice. You know, all we can do as attorneys is advise our clients. Like, I think it's a bad idea. You know, you're not going to be able to help yourself. You're not going to be able to answer questions because there is no answer. You know, I mean, you're going to try to craft lies that you're not going to be able to make them connect together because there's too much evidence against you. So, I mean, would I be shocked if you got up there? No, you know, but I would certainly be advising him ultimately to, you know, you shouldn't touch the witness stand with a
I'm definitely going to have a short created when I answer that question because your facial expression was just, oh, you were like, no. Raul, last word.
I don't want anybody to forget the names and the faces of every victim. known and unknown.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been fantastic. 2 hours and 10 minutes we've been doing this. Bob, thanks for joining us. Lisa,
course,
thanks for
man.
coming. Raul, thanks for coming. I mean, everybody, we had a great panel. The Grizzlies came and we bear bombed us in here. So that was exciting.
Love the
Thank you for all the
Grizzlies.
thank you for all the new gifts and memberships and everything. I couldn't get to it because there was just so many things going on. Listen, guys, thank you very much for making this show probably going to be the most watched show that I ever have so far. So as
Love
this
you. I
channel
love
grows,
you guys. You guys are all
You
wonderful.
guys are awesome.
thank you very much. Listen, we're going to say goodbye, and you guys have a great day. Enjoy it. And Lisa, we'll be seeing you later. Of course, we're going to be doing some other stuff. So,
I'll see you
guys,
later.
everyone, take care. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
See ya.